Have you ever wondered why some people leapfrog ahead in their career, fitness, or finances, while others slog for years with little to show? Let me tell you a story. In 2003, British cycling was a running joke so underwhelming that bike manufacturers wouldn't sell to them, afraid it would hurt their reputation. But then, Coach Dave Brailsford stepped in with an idea so simple, it sounds almost trivial. The aggregation of marginal gains. Imagine breaking down everything you do into tiny parts: bike seats, hand washing, even the color of the team van's interior. Brailsford's team made 1% improvements everywhere. Individually, a micro habit or a marginal gain seems almost irrelevant, like a single atom in a vast molecule. But compounded over time, their effect is exponential. Within 5 years, Brits dominated the Olympics, winning 60% of available gold medals and 5 Tour de France titles in 6 years. Now, you might be thinking, but can tiny changes really add up to something big for me? Absolutely. Think of compounding, like behavioral interest. If you get 1% better every day, you're nearly 37 times better after a year. Conversely, 1% worse daily, and you're nearly at zero. This is what economists call the power of exponential growth, a concept usually reserved for money, but here applied to your habits. But here's the catch. Time is the magnifier. If your habits are positive, time is your ally. If they're negative, time is your enemy. Habits are a double-edged sword, and understanding how they compound for or against you is the first step to harnessing them. So ask yourself, are your daily micro choices moving you closer to your goals or quietly pushing you further away? The difference may be invisible now, but over years, it becomes everything. Most of us are told to set goals if we want success, lose 20 pounds, earn $100K, write a book. But let me flip that on its head. What if goals are actually the wrong focus? Let's look at Scott Adams' distinction between systems and goals. Goals are the finish line. Systems are the daily routines that get you there. Consider this. Every Olympic athlete wants gold. Every job candidate wants the position. The difference isn't the goal, it's the system. Think of systems like the underlying operating system of your life, while goals are just apps you run on top. Without a robust system, your daily practices, your habits, the goal is just wishful thinking. Now you might ask, but aren't goals motivating? They can be, but they often restrict happiness to the moment of achievement, creating a yo-yo effect. Think of the runner who stops training after the marathon. Systems, by contrast, focus on continuous improvement, the Japanese concept of Kaizen. They let you fall in love with the process, so you're happy and progressing, regardless of the outcome. The key insight here is that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So next time you're frustrated about not getting results, ask not, what's my goal? But what's my system? Let's dig even deeper. Why do some habits stick while others fade? Here's the kicker. True behavior change is identity change. Picture behavior change like an onion. The outer layer is outcomes. The next is processes. But at the core is identity, your beliefs about yourself. For example, 2 people refuse a cigarette. One says, I'm trying to quit. The other says, I'm not a smoker. That subtle shift, it's seismic. The first sees quitting as an action. The second sees it as who they are. Neuroscientists call this self-schema. The stories we tell ourselves become self-fulfilling prophecies. Now, you might be thinking, but how do I change my identity? Start with small wins. Each action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. You don't need a unanimous vote, just a majority. Over time, habits reinforce identity, and identity reinforces habits. It's a feedback loop that shapes your reality. So, next time you want to start a habit, don't focus on the result. Ask yourself, who is the type of person that would achieve this? Then, prove it to yourself with small, consistent actions. Over time, you'll become that person. Let's get technical for a moment. Psychologists Edward Thorndike and B.F. Skinner gave us the framework. Every habit runs through a 4-stage feedback loop: cue, craving, response, reward. Think of it as your brain's autopilot system, constantly scanning for cues, generating cravings, guiding your response, and delivering rewards. Suppose you walk into a dark room, cue. You want to see craving. You flip the switch, response, and the light comes on, reward. Repeat that enough, and your brain wires this as the default response. This process is called procedural memory. Habits are stored in the basal ganglia, which allows you to perform without conscious thought. Now, here's a question. Why does this matter? Because if you want to change a habit, you need to disrupt one or more steps in the loop. Make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the response difficult, or the reward unsatisfying. Or, if you want to build a new habit, do the opposite. Make each stage obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. This is the science behind habit stacking, temptation bundling, and other strategies you'll see in behavioral economics and cognitive psychology. By mastering the habit loop, you gain leverage over your own behavior. Let's wrap up with how to make new habits stick, starting with awareness. You can't change a habit you don't notice. That's why Japanese train conductors literally point and call out every step, raising their level of conscious awareness, a practice that reduces errors by 85%. This is called pointing and calling, and it's a form of metacognition, thinking about your thinking. Want to apply this to your life? Try a habit scorecard. List your daily habits, then label them as positive, negative, or neutral. Suddenly, what was invisible becomes obvious. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But awareness isn't enough. You also need a plan. This is where implementation intentions come in. Instead of vague resolutions like, I'll exercise more, specify, I'll exercise at 7 a.m. in my living room. Researchers call this temporal binding. Anchoring new behaviors to a specific time and place boosts follow-through by double or more. So here's your challenge. Identify your cues, assign new habits to them, and watch as awareness combines with intention to transform your daily routine.